Thomas Partey's Villarreal debut did not unfold as planned. Visiting fans at the pre-season friendly jeered the midfielder amid a storm of criminal allegations that have shattered the usual transfer chatter. Charged in England with multiple counts of rape and sexual assault, Partey was granted conditional bail and is due to appear at the Old Bailey on September 2, a legal timetable that now runs alongside his new club obligations. The move from Arsenal to Villarreal was completed this month, a one-year deal that the Spanish club confirmed even as journalists and supporters raised questions about timing, responsibility and the optics of signing a player who is actively subject to criminal proceedings. That sequence, accusations made public, a court appearance, and then a transfer, explains why a match that should have been about fitness and tactics became a flashpoint for a much larger debate about how the modern game responds when off-field allegations collide with on-field business. At the stadium, the reaction was raw. Boos directed at Partey by sections of the visiting support turned a routine pre-season moment into a headline, and that noise echoed online, where petitions and furious threads amplified the sense that something consequential was happening beyond 90 minutes. Villarreal's president, Fernando Roig, stepped in to defend the club's choice and to remind the public of a legal principle that sits uneasily with emotion: the presumption of innocence, while also saying the club condemns all forms of violence and will await the courts to determine the facts. That defense is simple in words but complicated in effect. It asserts a fundamental right while inviting scrutiny about whether sporting organisations should take extra steps when signs of public outrage are so loud. Critics argue that bringing a player into the squad while serious charges remain unresolved risks alienating fans, sponsors and parts of the wider community. Supporters of the club and some neutral observers reply that clubs are not courts and that removing a player before a conviction can be unfair and legally risky. The split highlights a persistent tension in sport between immediate reputational damage and the legal protections that prevent premature punishment outside the courtroom. Beyond the headlines lie practical realities. Partey will need to balance legal meetings and a looming trial timetable with training and appearances, and Villarreal will have to decide how to manage communications, match-day planning and any internal disciplinary considerations as the legal process unfolds. The Old Bailey date raises clear possibilities. If charges advance to a full trial that extends across the season, clubs and governing bodies may face renewed calls to set clearer rules on eligibility and welfare, while broadcasters and sponsors will be watching how stakeholder pressure evolves. Conversely, an acquittal would leave clubs and the public to reckon again with what lessons, if any, were learned about handling allegations well before the law reaches a conclusion. This episode also underscores how quickly fan sentiment can curve into tangible pressure. A boo on his debut became a symbol for broader unease. Petitions and social media campaigns surfaced almost immediately, offering a visible measure of how modern audiences demand accountability and quick answers. Yet the law's slow rhythm resists the speed of social media, and that mismatch amplifies frustration on all sides. Victims and campaigners who seek swift justice, clubs that must protect legal rights and their commercial interests, and fans who want clarity about the values their teams represent. In the weeks ahead, attention will narrow to two fronts: legal and institutional. The court will determine whether the charges proceed and how they are tested. Villarreal and football's governing bodies will be judged on whether their responses were measured, consistent and in line with broader standards. For viewers, the story offers more than sport. It is a case study in how high-profile institutions confront allegations that touch on justice, reputation and public trust. Whatever the outcome, the controversy around Thomas Partey's debut has already shifted the conversation about where responsibility lies when the off-field and the on-field collide, and it will be watched closely as the calendar moves toward that Old Bailey date and beyond.